Hi everyone, it's Tasleem here, and I am in another quaint little part of the West End in downtown Vancouver. And as I was walking here, I was like, wow, I am so grateful to be able to call this my home, like to be able to call Vancouver my home. And I realized that this would be a really fitting spot to do this video in particular because it's to honor someone that I think is a huge part of the reason that I'm allowed to call Vancouver my home. And that is my Uncle John. I wanted to actually do this video yesterday because yesterday would have been my Uncle John's 86th birthday. I was not feeling good, so in and out of this video you might hear me lose my voice here and there, but hopefully I'll be able to last. I'm feeling a bit better today, but last month my uncle passed away, and it was really tragic for all of us, not just because we loved him and he's my uncle, but because of all the things my uncle did for our family. He was such a pillar of strength for our family, and I feel like there was a lot of things that I wish I had thanked him for directly that hopefully he knew, but I want to use this video to say thank you to him for. My mom and him and his parents and other parts of their family were kicked out of Uganda, East Africa, where they lived, by Idi Amin many years ago. And they were not allowed to take any of their belongings. They had to leave behind their business and their home and even their memories, like photo albums, and come to a country which Canada. I'm grateful that they were able to come here, but English was not necessarily their first language. My grandparents didn't even speak the language at all, and it must have been really scary to have to be forced to leave everything behind and start over again. And I'm sure that it was scary for everyone, and I'm so grateful that my mom was so brave and had the strength to just start over. And I think like my Uncle John was just, from what I heard, I feel like he was one of those, like he just wanted to protect his family and make sure that they all had homes, literally and figuratively, because he started businesses where he could manage buildings, and it wasn't just a money-making thing. It was for him to be able to have suites for his different siblings and his parents. So my mom would have a suite to live in, my uncle would, and then his parents would have a suite to live in. And so it wasn't just a building to start a business, but it was buildings to have homes for his siblings and parents. And although I was not born yet, I was born in Vancouver, and I feel like if my uncle hadn't, had that forward-thinking mindset, we might not have had homes where my mom could have had me. And I just want to thank him I wish I had thanked him, and I'm thanking him now for doing what he did and for being my mom's big brother, because I know it meant a lot to her and she loved him so much. And for those of you who don't know, my uncle actually was a huge part of, I was kind of toying with this idea of whether to do this video outside or inside in front of the keyboard that I sometimes do my videos in front of, because my uncle, although my mom was the big reason I was able to take piano lessons, because she would take me to the lessons every week for a few years, and when I was a kid, and pay for the lessons, I needed something to practice on, and my uncle literally gave me his piano. Like, he gave me an upright stand-up piano, and that's what I practiced on every day or every few days for many years when I was doing piano exams and preparing for the exams and practicing. And And it was so interesting to me because he was taking piano lessons himself as an adult, and I thought that was so great. And it seems so different to the way that I looked at him, because he seems so business minded and so like more objective rather than that emotional kind of side to him. But it took me years later to realize that he was actually very emotional, and his daughter passed away when she was very young, I think in her 20s, and I think he just got into this mindset of like he needed to be protective and make sure everyone was okay, and he, you know, ran with that business mindset. But he was a softie at heart, and it took me a while to realize that, but I'm glad that I got to see that side of him. And even when I went to, when I got into Cambridge University for my teaching degree, my loan fell through, and guess who paid for that? My Uncle John paid for my education, and I didn't even know how to thank him for that. I didn't, you know, for all the years later, I was like so grateful, because that was one of the best experiences of my life, and he just knew how much it meant to me, so he wanted me to experience that and not have to lose that chance. And you know, it's interesting because I'm telling you what my uncle did for me, but it wasn't until until he passed away that I learned all the other things that he was doing. Like he was helping people in so many different parts of the world, people that came to his funeral and flew in from different parts of the world. And when I got a chance to speak to them about, you know, my uncle, they were adamant that there was no way that they weren't going to fly in, even during this COVID time, because of all that he had done for so many people. He was helping people in Uganda even after he was kicked out. Him and his family were kicked out of the country. He was still helping them years later. And even a few days before he passed away, I went to his hotel. You know, a lot of people knew him for running a hotel, which he loved doing. And he had papers all over his desk, and he was so excited to do he was planning a new event that would have happened later this year, and it was the 40th anniversary, I believe, for the of the expulsion of the Asians out of Uganda. And he was 85, sitting at his desk and so determined to, you know, continue to inspire and be inspired. And I love that. He was really always wanting to give and not stop his work, because I think it really was a passion of his to help people in his family and in his community and in a bigger context in different parts of the world as well. I wish I had gotten a chance to do an interview with him, which is what I wanted to do, because he had asked me if I wanted to get involved in the event that he was planning to have later this year. And he said, you know, you'd have to interview some people to get some information. And I said, like, oh, as long as I could interview him as well, because that's something that I would have wanted to do. And I didn't get a chance to do it, but here I am, just in awe of what my uncle has done. I don't think it's completely hit me that he's passed away, because I didn't see him as often as I would have my mom. When my mom passed away, it was very, you know, jarring to me, because I talked to her every day or saw her very often. With my uncle, I just knew that he was at the hotel sitting and doing his work, and even when I would pass by the hotel, sometimes we would see each other, and sometimes I would just pass by and think, my uncle's in there, and I would smile because I knew that he was working hard and enjoying it. And sometimes I still walk by and I think I've tricked myself into thinking that he's still there. So I haven't really processed him, you know, not being there, but I know that he has influenced so much of my life. He has impacted so many people that I probably still don't even know about, and I know his legacy will continue. So I just really wanted to do this video to say thank you to my Uncle John. Thanks for listening.